Well,
Hmm.
here we are again. We are theoretically live.
You know, I'm sitting here looking at Facebook, and as I scroll through, I see all these politicians and these, governmental types,
Hmm.
all smiling and happy and just having them just a big old time. And I'm thinking to myself as I look at them smiling, having that big old time, how I'd love to just be out back behind the alley with them and choke the living shit out of them and beat the hell out of them.
Oh, well, why don't you tell us how you really feel?
I mean, they sit down there and they're all smiling and happy like they're doing all this good for us. And I don't know. I just feel like we're all getting screwed.
Well, yes, yes, we are. Who was the local politician who was telling me about all these bills that he had proposed and put forward and created, whatever. Anyway, and I said, I don't, that's not how I judge a good politician because if you're putting forward that many bills, that just means there's that much stuff that's broken that you're either trying to fix or you're trying to screw it up even more. I mean, is that how we're supposed to judge our politicians? How many bills they can get passed and all that? Generally, if you ain't trying to fix the government and undo some of the bills, I don't want to hear about keeping score of how many bills you get through Baton Rouge or through Washington or whatever.
I don't think it's a the. I mean, yeah, is it hard to get bills through? Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, you got to convince all these other legislators to get on board and to support something or whatever. But hell, how hard can it be? Because half of them don't even read the damn bills.
Well, that is true. Back to the old Nancy Pelosi cliche. You got to pass it so you can know what's in it and actually read it, but you got to pass it first. And look, I got to say this. All right, so I'm just going to put this out there. This is completely unscripted as usual. This big, beautiful bill, which A is the dumbest name in the world for a bill, and I fully support Trump, but big, beautiful bill, and it's adding how many trillions over the next 10 years to our debt? And Mike Johnson and crew are going along with this?
Yeah, I know. I mean, and that's the damn rub is you can't believe anything any of them says, especially Mike Johnson,
Yeah.
because and I'm playing devil's advocate here, but here's what I heard. I heard contained in this bill is a provision that I'm sure the governmental accounting office didn't calculate or hasn't calculated, but there's a provision in the bill to all of the money that the illegals are sending back to Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, Venezuela, all those third world countries that they're sending all that money back to, it's not a tariff, but to tax it additionally in some kind of way, or to prevent it from being transferred out of the country. That's hidden supposedly in the bill. Well, you know what? The truth matter is I believe that. I believe they sneak that kind of crap in there, but they're not telling the public. I mean,
Well,
I think it goes both ways about what they don't tell the public. But on the surface, with what you said, the only thing I have to go on that is verifiable is the adding the trillions of dollars in
yeah,
there.
yeah,
But you don't know what to believe.
I know. It's hard. You know how they could get me to go along with that? I will tell you how. And this will play into our illegal immigrant. Do you know what this is? Do you remember this from your childhood, Duke?
Oh yeah, it's like the damn car with the light going back and forth in the front. It was the same
Oh
era.
yeah, but Airwolf was different because Jan Michael Vincent was the star of it along with Ernest Borgnine. They actually killed people in this primetime show without remorse, blew them to smithereens, the bad guys. That
Oh
was the
yeah,
key
yeah.
difference in this show. So if they would put in the federal budget to bring back the top secret Airwolf program and let some cool guy fly a helicopter around and blow things up. I might could support this big beautiful bill, but other than that, I'm kind of leaning towards Elon's side of the little snippy fight that they
Yeah,
had going
but
on.
yeah, but damn, I mean, you got to be happy with what's happening right now. They're cracking skulls all across the country, and in the hotbed of California. I mean, good grief.
Well,
He's put the damn Marines in there. Surely we
look,
got to be happy with that.
so, oh yeah, I am. And look, I still support Trump. I'm just not happy with this big, beautiful bill, but I am very happy with him trying to establish the fact that, hey, it's okay if people protest legally. Just like if you and I wanted to hold a protest, we'd have to go get whatever permits or do it the legal way, make sure we were, on a public right of way, all the things that we would need to do. Not looting, burning, and tearing up stuff again. I'm glad he's sending in the troops and let them know, hey, what was the quote that he said? If they spit on us, we're going to hit back.
Oh, you talking about violence now?
Sure.
Oh,
Well, that's
okay. Somebody's
literally
saying
what the
move my.
army does. They blow things up and kill people.
Yeah. Well, okay. Did you know that I got booted off of X yesterday?
Wait, Elon booted you off of X?
He booted me off of X. Said that I
Wait,
was being too violent.
hold on a minute. So he can allude to Trump may have been involved in the Epstein files. We all have seen the famous pictures of Trump, with Epstein at the parties. But he can allude that Trump may have been involved in the Epstein ordeal and get by with that. But you got kicked off. Well, I guess he does own the thing. So,
Yeah,
but
but
you
he was,
got kicked off.
but he wasn't quote unquote supposedly advocating for violence.
Oh, well, what was he advocating for?
Well, he was just saying that Trump was on Epstein Island, but that ain't
Well,
true.
yeah, but
Even
well,
Epstein's lawyer said that he said that's not true. He said because
oh yeah,
I tried to he
I
said
don't
I
believe it
tried to
either.
find
But
out because I wanted to use it to get Epstein off.
I mean, look, I don't believe that for a second either. But there have been people that have had their houses vandalized and all that that have been involved with this Epstein deal. So I would say, by extension, if he's advocating that Trump might have been involved, which I think he's since redacted those or deleted those posts, um, that hey, that's kind of advocating violence. And look, I'm not against violence. That's not the thing. It's just it needs to be directed in
Well,
the proper manner.
here's the thing. I got kicked off of X, and I want to tell all of y'all that because supposedly, look, Mark, I am wound up tight. There's so much going on. I got to tell you, I even have thought and been considering seriously about going and applying to be in ICE. I mean,
Hey, that's a good idea.
I feel like I am missing out on the fun. I seriously, I mean, it really crossed my mind, but so, I'm watching some of this crap going on out there, right? And anger management class, are you kidding me?
What
I
was
ain't
that
got
movie?
anger.
Who was that?
What the hell are you
Jack
saying, Mark? I ain't got no anger.
Jack Nicholson and Adam Sandler.
Yeah. So anyway, so I see this this woman was a jackwagon, okay? I'm sorry. Yes, women can be jackwagons. So this jackwagon, she prances over in front of the ICE detention center, right? And she just
Mhm.
sits down on the ground. And the guys there at the gate, with their AR-15s, they walk up there, ma'am, we're gonna need you to move. You're blocking the entrance to our federal facility. She didn't respond. And they
Mhm.
said, ma'am, we're gonna need you to move. She didn't respond. They said, okay, we're gonna give you one more warning. You need to move.
Like my
And
mom
guess
used to
what?
say, one more time.
She still sat there. And I gotta tell you, so three of them, three guys, they came over there. One grabbed each arm, and the other grabbed their feet. They picked her up rather than arrest her. and
Right.
charge her with a federal crime because she was committing a crime. They pick her up off the ground
Mm-hmm.
and just move her over to the side out of the way of the gate and set her back down on the ground real politely and gently,
Right.
and then go back about what they're doing.
Well, hey, that's nice enough. I mean, they could
Bull
have booted her
crap.
back over the wall.
Bull crap. You want to know
What?
what I thought they should do?
What?
Here's what I thought they should do, and this is what I posted. BS. They should have her cross checked, her and drug her by her toes across the concrete and deposited her on the curb. Enough of these people. Bam! I'm advocating violence on X
Was
and
it
on
like
Twitter.
an instant bam and you were there,
It
or
was instant. It was like I
wow?
posted it and bam, I'm there.
Wow. So
So
now
I
you've
get
been
this morning.
advocating for Twitter and X for a long time, and yeah, we are live on Twitter and X too. But how did this end up?
I'm still advocating. So it blocked me from being able to participate on X and it gave me the option, right? It said,
Mm-hmm.
you can agree to not make these violent, statements again, or you can appeal.
Mm-hmm.
So what did I do? Hell no, I ain't taking back what I said. I stand by what I say. And I appealed.
And
5 minutes later, I get a response back from X and said, you're reinstated. Keep up the good work.
okay, well, see, we have to
What the
continue
hell are we
being
doing on
pro X.
Facebook?
This Facebook video policy, and it's kind of confusing because some of the old shows they haven't deleted yet, but some of the shows from 45 and 60 days ago they've already deleted. Which, reminder to everybody, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, or if you want to go back and see what we said on a particular show about a particular topic, um, go over to YouTube. All the shows since like show 50 are on YouTube, even if they're not any longer on Facebook, as a reminder. All right, so I'm glad to know, because I still don't spend that much time on X and Twitter, although I really should, but I am kind of an advocate for the platform since Elon took it over and reversed course with what they were doing.
Yeah, well, Elon is on fire. Hey, did you notice I got a new hat?
I notice you keep tugging at it. It's a cool logo. What does it
Well,
say? Salty dog something.
salty dog. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But hey, I got to adjust it right a little bit, so it's kind of getting at me a little. Let me get it straight here. I don't
Uh-oh,
know.
wait a
Can
minute.
you?
Let me kind of squint a little bit. Does that say Oak Island?
Yeah.
Ah,
So
pretty
get
snazzy.
this. So get this. I've said it on the show before, and I've talked about how I mean, look, some of y'all have a show you like to watch on Tuesday nights, and we appreciate y'all logging in here to watch us and listen to us babble about. And I appreciate it. But there is a show that I love that I always watch. Well, that I used to always watch, and I don't get to watch anymore because we're always doing the show.
Oh,
And that is The Curse of Oak Island. And it comes on
yeah.
Tuesday nights at this time, right?
Yeah, so where'd you get that snazzy hat?
Well, lo and behold, some of the folks that watch our show, they took a trip. They're big Oak Island people too, but they actually went there
Oh.
on the
Oh, it's a
tour and
real
stuff.
place. Is it?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They actually
Okay.
went there. Well, they remembered and they bought me the hat and
Yeah.
brought it back and stopped by the office and gave me the hat. How
See,
cool is that?
being infamous has its privileges. You got you a
And
cool hat.
I will tell you that one of the couple is actually, well, no, wait a minute. They're both in the comments. Jessica and Rusty Maddox. Thank you
Ah,
guys for bringing me the hat, and
yeah.
maybe
Excellent.
I'll get to catch up on the Curse of Oak Island soon. They better hurry up and find the damn treasure. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. Well, let's go ahead. We've kind of rambled on for a few minutes. Let's go ahead and let's do a little countdown and intro. We'll come out of that. I want to talk about hats and some other stuff for a minute when we come out of that. And let's get into this thing that I've got listed which is Pinocchio and reversing the population. And we might even talk about, well, yeah, we'll get into that and maybe a few other topics. What do you say?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, here we go, folks. You all know the drill. This is your grab a drink, grab some popcorn chance. Make sure you tag and share, folks. We're going to come back and ramble on as usual in about 2.5 minutes.
Folks know a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. You know, there's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
And I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
Aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. Oh, folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico and buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks. Through conscious, shocking actions, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr. In theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. SmarterGeek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And here we are. So with the information you just revealed, I'm going to switch screens behind the scenes here and get ready just in case we do actually have a guest. Let's see here. So y'all get to see me doing a little typing on the keyboard real quick. Hey, so speaking of immigrants and all this kind of stuff, did you happen to see or pay attention to any of this LA stuff going on?
You just heard me talk about it. I got kicked off of X.
Well, I know, but I mean, have you watched any of the news and seen what's going on?
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, the point I was getting at is I hadn't kept up that closely with it. Let me get my phrasing correct and let me get us back to live mode here. But I did watch an interesting CNN deal earlier, and the CNN host, they were making a big to-do, and I guess, Gavin Newsom, that idiot out there, but CNN was making a big deal about I guess they're either National Guardsmen or Marines or whatever, or a combination thereof, having to sleep in the hallways and on the floors of whatever building they were in. And the CNN host, she had a guest on who was a political commentator, but I guess was ex-Army or ex-Marine. And she asked him about it. And he said, well, it's the kind of the hurry up and wait mentality of our armed forces. He said there was, a lot of times where we have to scramble to deploy and get ready. And then we get over there and we try to rest where and when we can for the, 2 minutes that everything is complete chaos. He said, so that's really not unusual. And I think you could see her hair short circuiting because she didn't know how to compute the, over the fact that, our military may have to sleep in slightly uncomfortable places.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Oh, good grief.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. So if the guest texting comes on, that's fine. Just let me know. But I want to get into this. Let's get into this reverse population in Bossier City. Now, what am I talking about with this reverse population? Does anybody out there in the comments know what I'm referring to at all? Because it's actually kind of interesting. Mr. Lowry, do you have any idea?
I do not. I do not. I did not follow this. Good catch on this. I did hear a peep about it, but honestly, I haven't seen anything regarding what this report was from this. Was it a demographer to the school board? Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a guy named Mike Hefner. He's with what was his company name? Hold on, I think I've got it in the notes here. Mike Hefner. He's the chief demographer of geographic planning and demographic services. And I guess the school board had a special meeting on June the 3rd and had this guy do a presentation. It's pretty interesting information. Now, we're not going to go through the whole meeting. He spoke about an hour. We'll put the link to this in the on the Facebook page and all that after the show, so you can go watch the whole thing. But it's pretty interesting, and so I thought we might share a little bit of that as we go along. So let me switch screens here, and I'm going to queue up. So this is about 6 minutes into the presentation, and again, this is Mike Hefner. And he's talking about the geographic changes in population in Bossier City and Bossier Parish from 2010 to 2020. So let's listen up for just a minute.
General population. From your students come from your general population. This is by census tract. These are the changes in population that the parish has experienced between the 2010 census and the 2020 census. The areas in red and orange are areas where they've lost population. The areas on the other side of the spectrum in the blue and purple are the areas that you have gained population. The blue and the purple that you see, particularly with the Benton area on the map on the right-hand side, is probably no surprise to any of y'all here. That is the area that has grown the most in those ensuing 10 years. Kingston, which was led by the Legacy area, had the greatest population. On the next one, we have the Bossier City area. And by the way, the page numbers at the bottom of each of the slides corresponds to the page in the report. So you can kind of see where I've extracted some of that out.
All right, so I'm going to stop it right there for a second. So I don't have a copy of this report. We probably should do, I don't know if the school board published it on their website or anything. Maybe we should do a public information request and maybe get this report from it, because it's pretty interesting. Because, you know, to listen to some of our politicians talk, oh yeah, Bossier City's growing by leaps and bounds and the parish is growing and we got to do a moratorium on, you know, new housing and development, which he does address some of that in here, and he's got some interesting stats. But I don't know if y'all remember, but about a year ago, during all the Charter Commission hoopla and all that, the princess and I had it out in the parking lot of Bossier City Hall, and one of her contentions was, during that little tirade, was that Bossier City was growing, and we all standing there had to correct her. No, Bossier City is not growing. It's pretty much stagnant, maybe even losing a little bit of ground. The parish is growing, but Bossier City is not. And pretty much his information bears that out. So let me switch screens. I'm going to go to a screenshot over here and just highlight some of this. So if you notice this little first bullet point that he has up here, census tracts in the Bossier City area had the greatest drop in population from 2010 to 2020, around 4 to 5%. Oh, looks like we have our guest in. The Eastwood area between Bossier City and Houghton had a drop of 8%. The town of Benton had a drop of 2%. But Legacy and Kingston, Legacy grew 86%, and Kingston area grew 48%, which I thought was astounding.
Well, which raises the issue of the police jury regulating and putting moratoriums on growth, because of areas developing outpacing uh, outpacing what support the infrastructure can handle. And
Right.
obviously I would say that maybe people should focus on who were the builders, who were the developers in those particular areas, and that might answer your questions.
Yeah, may very well. All right. So, since we have a guest already here, why don't we go ahead and bring him in, and then we'll get back to this population study? How about that?
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Sounds like good.
All right. Let me see if I can do a little button clicking here. And Mr. Alexander, can you hear us? Uh-oh. We have zero audio from you. Aha. And this is a live show, folks. We are amateurs complete. So we have no audio from our guest.
Ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh. Well, that's it for Chris. Back over the wall for you.
Log out and log back in, Chris.
Yeah. All right. So let's kind of tee this up because hopefully we'll be able to get up. Let's try it again. Can we hear you? It is lip syncing time. Milli Vanilli. All
Oh,
right.
wait a minute. Maybe I should start singing. That'll make it work.
Oh, please don't.
Love me tender, love me true. Who knows what that is? I bet Chris
Y'all hear
knows.
me?
There we go. We got you.
I was singing to you,
I
Chris.
always knew that, Lowry, honestly, I said, either I get this thing hooked up, I have to get this thing hooked up, otherwise I have to listen to this guy sing. So it worked.
You saved us, Chris Alexander. I don't know if we could have taken much more of Mr. Lowry trying to be Elvis.
Hey, now, Chris was using some new arcane language earlier, talking to me. I mean, the language of ass, and I didn't even know it existed. But he was messaging me, and I was like, "Don't cuss at me like that."
No idea what the hell that was. I'm sorry about that, Duke. I have to apologize to you. I don't even understand. It was so sophisticated that I don't even understand the language. Anyway,
All
it's
right.
good to talk to you guys.
Yeah. So what's up in your world? What's going on? That's got your dander up and going.
Well, I got to tell you guys, there's just so much down here to talk about, and a lot of it is good. We've got some good stuff going through, and and yet we also have some things that we're a little concerned about. I mean, right now, the biggest concern that we have, and I don't want to get into the good things yet because we've got things that are on the precipice right now with 48 hours left in the legislative session. We got two bills, guys, that are sitting on the Senate floor, stalled right now, and we can't figure out why. And I'll tell you what they are. One of them is HB 685, and it's by Representative Emily Chenevert. Made it through the House, Senate committee, and now it's on the Senate floor. And this is a bill that will basically purge Louisiana's public institutions and including our colleges of diversity, equity, and inclusion and critical race theories, these radical Marxist concepts that have permeated our institutions over the last 30, 40, or 50 years that have no place in Louisiana's public institutions. Anti American, anti Constitution. They basically teach us to view the world and to view life through race, gender, and victimhood. This is a poison in our public institutions. And we have a 2/3 Republican dominated state Senate. Yet this bill is sitting on the Senate floor waiting for a vote day after day after day. And we're going to push this so hard to the finish, guys. This has to be voted on. And the second one is HB 590 by a new representative, Representative Annie Spell. And let me tell you what this does, guys. This prohibits any foreign government or any non-citizen of the United States from donating to any candidate, any campaign, or any ballot proposition in the state of Louisiana. You would think that both of those bills are two good things that in a Republican dominated Senate we would push through there and get to the governor's desk summarily. And yet they're sitting on the Senate floor, and we are asking why, boys?
So
That
let me play devil's advocate for a second, though.
Sure.
First, is there a federal? I guess the state law would help reinforce the federal position that the Trump administration has taken on DEI. So maybe there is a purpose for that. But I'm just wondering a little bit about these campaign donations. So it's to ban foreign corporations from donating to candidates. What about PACs?
It is to ban foreign countries or anybody
Okay.
associated with a foreign country from donating to, and Alan Seabaugh, by the way, is carrying this on the Senate side, and it is, I believe he is anyway, and it simply prohibits any foreign entity from donating money to a Louisiana campaign, candidate, or ballot proposition. And it's to us, in light of all of the things we see with regard to foreign interference in our elections, foreign money in our elections, we think this is a good thing. We think this is a good bill, and it's a measure that is will help protect our elections. And yet it's, but and the thing about it is, Rex, we're not getting an explanation for why it's not getting an up and down vote. That is the big issue we have. So debate the issue on the floor, debate the issue on the Senate floor, and vote it up or down. And
Well, but
that's the point.
let me give a little bit of a contrarian take on it. And look,
Sure.
I realize that our legislators should be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. And I'm sure Seaball can be out there fixing insurance, which is what we're more concerned about, while he's also trying to prevent foreign money from coming in. But does the government of China itself actually donate money to a candidate? And let me come at it from this angle. Honestly, I don't really care if they do or not, because if it shows up on the campaign finance report, that's an immediate litmus test and flag that, oh, maybe we shouldn't like this candidate.
Well, but what if they're donating such significant amount of money, Rex, that they win the election?
What's
Or
the
what if they
limit on
hide it
campaign?
behind?
What's the
What if
limit
they
on
hide it
campaign
behind PACs?
contributions?
It's unlimited on blind
Well,
PACs.
okay, so I agree on the PAC, which is why I asked about it. Now with the candidates, so what's the limitation on directly to candidates?
I think it's $5,000 per person for individual, right?
Right. Yes. All right. So I think you're correct. So, but my point is, all right. So instead of them being able to, have this red flag on their campaign finance reports, now we force them to launder the money and come in through the back door. And so it's not so easy to see. That's my only contrarian point of view on this slightly.
Well, you know what, and it's a good point. And Rex, let's just debate the issue. We like to see the debates, full debates in front of the citizens of Louisiana on the floor. Let's just debate the issues, but let's not bury legislation and just not call it and let it down the vine. That's what cowards do. That's not what patriots do. Great
Oh,
Americans
I agree.
debate great issues, and look, and if it goes down, maybe it goes down for a good reason, and maybe for some of the reasons that you just articulated. That's great, but we need the debate, and it's just sitting there stagnating on the floor. And you can't tell me that, at least facially, there's not a plausible basis for the legislation. Certainly there is. And so just debate the issue and let's get a vote on it. And that's what's really important. And by the way, Rex, I want you to know that right now in Louisiana, you talk about, you say how much money is China donating right now to campaigns. We really don't know right now, number one, but I can tell you now that China absolutely owns immovable property in the state of Louisiana right now,
Right.
and as well as they own immovable property in other states. And there was, a bill recently in front of the Senate, Republican-dominated Judiciary Committee with Senator Greg Miller, and Senator Valerie Hodges brought the bill, and it would allow, and I'm so eager to get you and Duke's view on this, it would have allowed expropriation by the Attorney General and the Governor of any property in Louisiana owned by a sworn foreign adversary of the state of Louisiana, if that property is located within 50 miles of a military installation or some other critical infrastructure facility in the state of Louisiana. Do you think, on the face of it, hearing what I just said, do you think that's a good bill?
Honestly, and Duke, I don't mean to hog the mic, but honestly, I want them to fix my damn insurance. Because here's the thing, whether they own property or not next to a military installation, guess what? All the electronics that we're using, guess where the vast majority of that is manufactured? China. I don't care if they own property. I mean, if we're going to be concerned about the Chinese and the Chinese infiltration, then we have much bigger concerns about whether they own some damn property. Honestly, like most people, I want them to fix my insurance first. Then we can worry about China.
Well, okay. And then here is where I'm finally going to get a word in here, because I messaged Chris, because this exactly with y'all, y'all kind of debating y'all are kind of, Rex, you're posing one side and Chris is posing the other side. And I have to say, I kind of lead towards Chris's side on the argument. I mean,
Sure.
I respect your Rex.
I said I was playing devil's advocate here.
I'm standing with Chris on those points. But my point is this legislative session, it's weird to me. It's weird to me, because I'm finding myself at odds with the people that I've always aligned with and I thought that I was on the same page with. I find myself scratching my head about whether I'm on the same page with them or not. And when I look across the field and I look at the things that are coming down the pipe, and one of the things that prompted me, Chris, y'all's podcast this morning, y'all were talking about some of the legislation, and I appreciated that dialogue y'all were having. And for instance, one, there is, our Secretary of State as y'all were describing, I hate to say lawfare because it's not lawfare, but trying to create legislation to go around transparency. Basically, I mean, that's my words, not y'all's, but I think it's the same thing, and I agree with it. That's exactly what Nancy Landry, our Secretary of State's doing. And then I take a step back and I look at our governor. I look at, carbon sequestration, that we're government moving in a direction to expropriate people's property for the purpose of a business interest. And the governor rightly pointed out in a committee, hypocrisy of the oil and gas industry. You can't come to business because of the litigious nature of the state, but you can sure come here for carbon sequestration to want to hand out here. And I could go through countless things, but I'm finding myself scratching my head about what the hell team am I on here? Where are we going here? And am I now a Democrat? Because if these are Republican values,
oh boy, I'm supporting the Chinese. Duke's a Democrat. That's it.
I mean,
end of the show.
I'm not seeing what I believe in here happening. I see the opposite, and I feel disillusioned. And if you try to call Baton Rouge and get the governor on the phone, or you try to call the Attorney General or Nancy Landry, I mean, they're nowhere to be found. You can't get them on the phone. I mean, the only way you're getting them on the phone is if you donate $100,000 or something else. That's the only way you're getting those people on the phone. I mean, and I don't know. I'm off on a tangent here, and I'm sorry to everybody, but I feel like the people that busted their ass to help a lot of these people, that they've suddenly been lost in the mix. And I was hopeful that Chris Alexander is going to be able to explain to me what the hell's going on, because I can't put my finger on it.
Well, I'll tell you, Duke, you just expressed a frustration that I think is very, very broad right now in the state of Louisiana, with regard to citizens across the state who worked very hard to get Governor Landry elected. And it looks as though many of the decisions that he's made have been very inconsistent with what he campaigned on, and certainly inconsistent with what the lofty language of his inaugural address, which I've read several times now. And look, I mean, we only have so much time tonight. But there are just a number of bills that we could go through that I guarantee you 100% that both of you would scratch your head and say, what is going on here? Why is he doing this? It's just, and I'll just give you I'll give you one example. Okay, then this our secretary, and Duke, by the way, I agree with you 100% on what you said about the Secretary of State, because there's a pattern of legislation that she's promoting that I think is very inconsistent with principles of transparency and accountability. We can go to that, but let me just give you one example, okay?
And
SB
this ain't
80.
this ain't Republican and Democrat. This ain't
Not at
Republican and
all.
Democrat. And we are limited government conservatives, is what I would describe us, and that's the closest affiliation to a Republican as you can be. But these are issues that should concern libertarians. These are issues that should concern Democrats. I mean, we're talking about complete transparency. We have advocated for people for extreme measures of transparency, and it seems like we're getting the opposite.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I'll just give you one representative example that I'm sure that most of you will agree with. It's SB 80, which was brought by State Senator Greg Miller. And this may seem like a small issue to some people, but both of you are familiar with the founding fathers. You understand the Constitution. You understand how liberty is lost, not in a sudden precipitous burst, but through measurable cuts. It's lost through 1,000 cuts, one by one, as citizens do not stand up and confront it. And then we realize we've lost our liberty and it's too late. So let me give you an example. SB 80. This is a bill that was brought by Secretary of State Nancy Landry. She promoted this, and and Governor Landry just signed this bill. And this bill, on its face, will ban law-abiding Louisiana citizens who've lived here their whole lives, generational Louisiana citizens, from conducting lawful exit interviews and exit polls at polling precincts. It's a categorical ban. You know who will be able to come into our state and conduct exit polls and get information about how people voted? CNN, MSNBC, what they call the quote bona fide news organizations can come in without any restrictions whatsoever and go in and do exit polls, but law-abiding Louisiana citizens can't. And you know why the Secretary of State is pushing this? She's pushing it not for the reason she claimed. She said because there were some ladies up in Shreveport who were doing an exit poll, and they were disruptive, and they were doing, which was a total and complete lie. I know these
Look,
ladies. I'm from Shreveport. They're 70-year-old women. They're law-abiding citizens. The reason why she's pushing this is because she doesn't want citizen journalists conducting lawful exit polls and getting real information about how people voted in a precinct and comparing that data against what's coming out of these computers and raising suspicion about whether or not these computers are being hacked or manipulated or the results are being changed. That's what she's afraid of, because she's all in board with this computer-based voting system that everybody knows is vulnerable. So Senator Greg Miller brings this bill, passes through the House and the Senate, and it's now been signed by the governor. Flagrantly unconstitutional. And it should inflame you.
It does, and I want to say to everybody watching, everybody that will watch this later, Chris is absolutely 100% correct, because the ladies that he's talking about, and I personally know every one of them, Susan Barnesfield and all those ladies, so a lot of the We the People ladies, they conducted an exit poll over here in Shreveport during an election, and it was not confrontational. It was not problematic. There was no big deal. This is an attempt to not be transparent and to silence people. That is exactly what it is on behalf of Nancy Landry, your Secretary of State. And Chris is 100% on the mark. It's bullcrap.
And to be clear, this was an exit poll, right? They weren't interfering with anybody or
No.
slowing anybody down from going in to vote. This was after they had voted. Is that correct?
Exactly right. It was an
Okay.
exit interview that they were doing, and they also had set up out there on a purely voluntary basis a demonstration of a paper ballot vote system, a very simple system that was voluntary, that people could come over and participate in if they wanted to. But these ladies are not coercive. They didn't break the law. They did absolutely nothing wrong. But Nancy Landry sits before the House and Senate Governmental Affairs Committee and says that she could have had these ladies arrested. That's just a flagrant lie in order to get, yeah.
Let me cut in for a second, and maybe you do or do not know, because I've heard about this bill, but I haven't researched it thoroughly. So, what defines, or what is the definition, as this bill is written, of a bona fide journalist? Would that be somebody like what was that guy's name from CBS that was forced into retirement? Oh, would it be like Dan Rather, who misreported on the Bush deal when he said it was from 1974 or whenever, and actually the typewriters weren't even really in use then and had to go into retirement? Would it be bona fide like that?
I want to
Dan
jump in
Rather
here.
would, Dan Rather would Dan Rather would qualify. You have to be affiliated with, employed by, or associated with an establishment legacy media organization in order to conduct a lawful exit interview in the state of Louisiana. That's what it is, Rex.
Legacy, government subsidized in one way or another. Probably PBS would be right up, or LPB would be right up their alley. But hey, Jeff Sadow made a point. He actually addressed this SB 8. Rex, I don't know if you can pop it up there real quick.
Yeah, let's see if I can do that without covering up Chris too much. Hold on just a second here. So he says, a related issue with SB 8 is that by its language outlaws academic exit polling, which I've done with some classes in the past. I asked Miller to add an amendment that would have allowed for that, but never heard back, and the bill went through in its original language. Did Landry sign this?
He signed it two days ago. He signed it 2 days ago. Absolutely, he signed it, despite the fact, and I can just tell you, just from our own call to action, LeCag's call to action, Rex, he got hundreds of emails from citizens across the state asking him to veto this bill. I mean, this is the guy who, as Attorney General, was one of the lead plaintiffs, lawyers in the case that exposed the collusion between the Biden administration and big tech to censor conservative speech online. This is a
Well,
guy who ran on a campaign of free speech, of First Amendment freedom, of protecting the Constitution, and he signs this bill.
well, I
It's
hate to say it.
extraordinary.
I hate to say it, but maybe he was just doing all that just for the publicity to get elected. I hate to say it, but come on, Jeff, you've got Duke's phone number. I know you probably don't have mine, but that doesn't matter. You're welcome to come on the show and let's have this debate with the governor and former attorney general over this stupid bill you just signed.
Yeah. And Rex, to be honest with you, it is stupid, and it would be almost comical if the consequences of it were not so significant. Because this is how the government erodes liberty. I don't care if a citizen says, well, what does this matter to me? Because I don't conduct exit polls. It should matter to you because it cuts directly into your freedom and into your liberty. And where does the government go next? And then after that, and then after that. That's why it's so significant and so important. And that's just one bill we're just astounded that he signed this. In the meantime, he has SB 46, which was passed, Senator Mike Facey's bill, which is going to his desk. I think is already on his desk. And we're going to see how quickly he signs this. This is the bill that will ban these chemtrails, this geoengineering in the state of Louisiana. Everybody knows that these planes are dropping these chemicals out of the back of these planes in the air over our state, falling onto our soil, into our plants, into us, everywhere. People know that is going on. In fact, they had a guy from California who flew in here to try to oppose the legislation. We think because people are making money off of this. So, Governor Landry, you need to sign this bill very, very quickly, and other bills that are on your desk as quickly.
It was signed. It was signed today.
What was signed? SB 46.
Yeah.
My lovely wife just told me, guys, and we're going to celebrate together here, boys. SB 46 banning the geoengineering and the chemtrails was signed by Governor Landry today. Hats off to Governor Landry for that. So good deal there. But what I'm saying is,
I mean, look, it's a mixed bag. It seems like, I mean, and it shouldn't be that way. I mean, because he ran as a limited government conservative, and on some of these things, I mean, look, the guy don't get more Trump. I think his last name might be partly Trump, and yet you're going to sign legislation that narrows transparency with election integrity. I don't get that. I don't get it at all. I mean, and then you're going to throw in with the carbon capture people to start seizing people's property, trapping people's minerals. I don't know. I am perplexed about what's going on here. It is a mixed bag, and I don't know whether we're up or down. But what I do know is it seems like to me, in which I'm Bossier, but it seems like to me, Bossier is an afterthought to the elected officials in South Louisiana in Baton Rouge. And I got to tell you, it is rubbing me raw, real raw. I have an open wound from our Attorney General, our Governor, and our Secretary of State regarding Bossier and Bossier Parish that I don't know if it's going to heal by the next election. I really don't.
That's very, very honest, Duke, for you to say that. And, speaking of the carbon capture sequestration, we know these bills intimately. Let me just give you one example. One bill that was brought by Rodney Schermerhorn. Y'all probably familiar with Rodney. I think he's from up there somewhere. He brought a bill that would simply would have repealed eminent domain, which I'm sure you guys know. It basically allows private corporations to seize private property against a landowner's will for purposes of this carbon capture sequestration racket. And he brought a bill to repeal eminent domain for purposes of CCS, which is unscientific, unproven, and it's just a racket, and everybody knows that now. Well, that bill was killed in the House Natural Resources Committee by Republicans. And Governor Landry has not weighed in on this at all. He's nowhere to be found on carbon capture sequestration. All these good bills that are coming through to provide some measure of protection for Louisiana property owners against this onslaught, and Governor Landry is nowhere to be found. He's mute on the issue. And that's not acceptable for a constitutional, at least ostensibly, a constitutional conservative governor. That is not acceptable, to simply not say anything on these critical issues.
No, it's a non-starter when you're talking about seizing people's property for private interests. That's bullcrap. I mean, if the government has a real interest that is in the interest of everybody, you know, yeah, we can talk about it and debate, like you said. But this no debate, this thing, it's a non-starter, and I don't get it. That's why I'm disillusioned. How is this crap? How are Republicans getting away with this? About I don't know. I am just mad. I almost can't even articulate a sentence because I'm so mad about this session.
Again, I go back to my default thing. They can do all this crap, but they can't fix our insurance problem.
No,
And
it's the lawyers. It's the insurance companies. No, it's the lawyers. No, it's the insurance companies. No, it's the lawyers. And all the while, all the rest of us are getting hosed and screwed. And
it goes right back to my premise at the beginning of the show, which was, and maybe we were talking about it pre-show, but anyway, that, you know, just because a legislator gets elected and goes down there and brags about, you know, he tried to put forward X number of bills, 100 bills or whatever. Look, I don't want any more laws unless they are giving us back rights that have already been taken away. So here's my theory, and I'm no lawyer, but laws only take away. That's all they do. They limit things unless they're giving us, in the rare instance that they're giving us something back that has already been taken away. Every law takes something away, period. Correct me if I'm wrong. So y'all fix the crap that y'all have broken over the last 100 years or whatever it's been, and then I'll be a happy camper. And Jeff, I got to say, if you ever watch the show, which I'm sure you don't, I'm right there with Duke, and Chris, maybe you are too, that we are not happy campers with your ability to actually lead.
I think that is Rex. I think that's very, very well said, and I think that you know, on example after example after example of what you're talking about. And again, we could sit here, you know, over a beer and talk about this literally for 3 days. Some of the things that we've seen down here. I'll give you one example. There's great suspicion on the part of Louisiana citizens that Governor Landry is doing whatever he can to increase his own power and to you know, diminish his own accountability. Danielle and I are going to do a show on the state of freedom in the next couple of weeks where we just go through the bills just this session that would, some of them we've been successful in killing, and some of them we haven't. But if they had all passed, I mean, we would basically be living in a state where we have a czar instead of you know, just you know, a governor who is a, you know, a member of 3 branches of government, equal balances, legislative oversight, and that sort of thing. I'll just give you one example. Representative Deschantel brought a bill this session, and I'm confident that it was brought by the impetus of the governor. It was a constitutional amendment that would have allowed the governor, that would have expanded the Public Service Commission from 5 members to 7 members, the powerful PSC, and allowed the governor unilateral authority to appoint the 2 additional members. That's just one example. But fortunately, that bill died in committee. It was voluntarily deferred because I think even they were smart enough to realize you put something like that on a statewide ballot with this governor, you don't have a chance in hell of getting that passed right now with the pulse of this state. Well, the last thing Louisiana citizens are going to do is vote directly to increase our governor's power. You know, it's not going to happen. And there are there are other things as well. Let me give you an example on the insurance. And this is something that I'm really eager to get you guys' opinion on this. Right now, current law in Louisiana says that the insurance commissioner does not have the freedom to lower arbitrarily lower insurance rates or raise insurance rates. Those are generally market-driven concepts, and you stay out of the market and you let that work itself out according to what the demand is and according to market principles. And a bill was just passed that was supported by the governor that will allow our insurance commissioner, with no accountability whatsoever, no actuarial basis, no adherence to market principles, to either reject or accept an insurance company's request to raise rates, would allow an insurance commissioner to go back years and demand that an insurance company pay refund premiums because retroactively he concludes that they've been charging too much, would give the insurance commissioner authority to demand that policyholders retroactively pay more money to an insurance company if he concludes that they haven't been paying enough in premiums, all with no accountability, all with no regulatory criteria whatsoever. He can basically do whatever he wants to do with no accountability. Do you think that insurance companies are going to come to Louisiana if we have an insurance commissioner with that kind of unilateral power, with no accountability and no requirement to adhere to any kind of actuarial principle? Do you think we're going to have insurance companies coming to Louisiana?
All right, so let me give you my knee-jerk reactions to that. First and foremost, the market forces don't really come into play because we're forced to buy the insurance. That's the rub I have. This is not this is not something that's optional for us as citizens. And whether it's homeowners insurance or whether it's vehicle insurance or whatever on the commercial side too, you're forced to buy it. So that immediately skews the market forces concept. And we're all getting hosed by the damn insurance companies right now. Market forces be damned, because we've all seen the numbers and the math, and the insurance companies in general are making money hand over fist. There are a few areas in Louisiana where their profit margins are not that high, but there are other areas where they're so high, they're turning huge margins. And I'm a market capitalist. I am a capitalistic pig. Let them make all the money they want, but not off our backs when it's mandated by the damn government. So I have to say, on its face, I'm not opposed to giving the insurance commissioner the authority to reduce the rates or to refuse an insurance increase. Now, the argument is we've had several insurance commissioners who are outright crooks. But there is some accountability because those guys went to jail as best I can remember. And the insurance commissioner, is he appointed or is he elected?
Oh, that's a great question, Rex. What a great question you just asked, because there's a bill pending right now on the Senate floor, SB 214, that would make the insurance commissioner in Louisiana appointed by the governor instead of
Oh,
elected statewide by Louisiana citizens. Who do you think might be in some way gently pushing that legislation? Who do you think might be pushing that?
That bill I would certainly not support. But let me so hold that thought for a second. Let me kick back to the whole insurance commissioner. So I'm not on its face opposed to giving the insurance commissioner more authority. Look, if he turns out to be a crook, as of right now, he's going to get unelected and probably go to jail. Now, fast forward to this bill that you're talking about right now, I wouldn't trust Landry to appoint anybody. He hadn't fixed the insurance yet, and what, did he go hunting or fishing with the insurance guys? I can't remember.
Oh, he went hunting. He went turkey hunting in Texas with the trial lawyers.
Okay.
But let me give you a quick response here, Rex, to your response. I do agree with you that insurance is mandatory in Louisiana, and frankly, I think it should be. If you're going to drive on the roads,
Right.
I think you should have to purchase insurance. But it's not mandatory that we buy it from any specific company. And that's why we need as many insurance companies in Louisiana competing for business as we can get.
I
And what
agree.
I'm saying is, So that's number one. And number two, I'm open to your suggestion that the insurance company possibly should have more power to adjust rates, but it can't be completely rudderless. Like in Florida, they have a law, and the insurance company is allowed to reject a rate increase by an insurance company. He's allowed to do a lot of things, but there are a number of specifically enumerated actuarial principles that he has to abide by in making those assessments. All this bill says is that the insurance company may make his decisions based on actuarial principles or market conditions, but he's under no
Bingo.
obligation to do so. So,
Right.
I mean, are you kidding me? So you're going to have an insurance commissioner in here who runs for office. He's got political enemies, both in the insurance industry and citizens who may have publicly opposed him. He gets elected. You don't think in the state of Louisiana that there could potentially be some political retaliation for that?
Well,
Good
I,
point.
I want to jump in here and say, I mean, to that bill, no, I don't like the insurance commissioner having all of that power. I mean, you're basically, I mean, look, the guy come from insurance. Do you think he's not going to pick the winners and losers? And should we be allowing, to Chris's point, should we be allowing individual people to be picking the winners and losers? We should not. Nobody's that good. I'm sorry. I mean, we all have a little bit of a dirty streak in every one of us, and most politicians have the biggest dirty streak of all. And an insurance commissioner is elected statewide. I'm sorry. They have a dirty streak in them. They've proven it, and they shouldn't be picking who's going to be the winners and losers. It should be based off of market principles, competition, and government's role is to ensure that there is fair competition, that the playing field is equal, let them all come in and play. But our playing field has been skewed for years. It's been skewed by two groups: one, the trial lawyers, and two, the insurance lobby. That's who's done it. And for the most part, I would say they've worked in coordination to screw the third wheel, which is of all of us that are mandated to buy it. And it's just now becoming mainstream for everybody to realize that you've got these two factions that have been working together to screw all the regular people. And I don't know. I don't think these moves that politicians are make, I don't think it's going to pass the smell test of regular everyday folks going into the future. I think they see what these politicians are doing, that they've aligned themselves on one side with the trial lawyers or the other side with the insurance lobby. And I think they realize who's giving them a fair shake and who's not. And I pray that it's going to shake out in the next election. I pray that it is,
Hey,
and I think it
I
will.
I got a good comment to put up on the screen here from your wife. Pretty short and succinct. Why do we have or need an insurance commissioner? Any thoughts from anybody on that?
Well, what a great question. What a great question that I've never really thought deeply about. Do we need an insurance commissioner in the state of Louisiana, or should we just allow, as Duke was saying, if we create conditions of true free economic capitalism, and free market enterprise, and allow that to regulate rates, that to regulate the market, what is the purpose of an insurance commissioner? I'm going to have to think more deeply about that, but that's a very intriguing question.
Well, I'll give you an example, and I'm just thinking, some people may not realize this or not, but I am, quote unquote, according to what they say, an educated person. I do have a college degree, and I remember taking a class that was on insurance and all that stuff, and I remember it saying in the book, talking about how insurance is based off of the risk. So if you took government regulation out of it, and if you sought to get insurance on a structure that was on the coast where I don't know, the majority of hurricanes hit, the percentage and likelihood of it getting destroyed is a whole lot higher than some residential house on the Louisiana Arkansas line in the hills with pine trees all around. It's not the same risk. I mean, worst case, maybe a tornado, maybe a little bit of wind, whatever. But insurance companies should be able to calculate that risk. But yet, I don't think that's happening. I don't think that they're being able or allowed to manage that risk. And who was it, Rex? We had an attorney that came on, and we were and I ain't gonna say they were defending the trial lobby, but they were saying that the insurance lobby is not forced to acknowledge the actuarial. I think it was during the John Bell Edwards administration. There was the insurance, whatever the insurance committee is, Chris, you would know which one it was, that they formed this committee, and it was supposed to use the actuarial numbers, and then that got sandbagged, and that's when we had Seaball. Remember, we had Seaball and Gaddy
And
going
Seaball
at it
versus
with the
Gaddy.
PEC, and Gaddy was saying, even Gaddy was saying at that time, they needed to use the actuarial numbers, and Seaball was saying not. They never did, and they passed legislation. Nothing ever changed. In fact, things got worse, which validated what I guess you could say some of the trial lawyer people were saying. And here we are today, and we're still not forcing the actuarial numbers to be used in the calculation. So
Yeah.
I don't see any change that anybody in Baton Rouge is serious about changing our insurance. I don't see it. Yeah, there's been some bills that come through that we're moving in the right direction, but fundamentally, it's not the home run that we need.
It's not going to Duke. You're 100% right. These bills, are cutting at the edges, and they're really not going to do anything, unfortunately. And I wish I could say differently, but they're not going to do anything really to significantly reduce insurance rates. I'll just give you one example. There's a bill by Gabe Ferment down here, and it's a good bill. And I love Gabe Ferment, and I think he's a really fine legislator, and I like his bill. But don't suggest that the bill that I'm about to tell you about is going to do anything to reduce insurance rates in Louisiana, which they're suggesting it will. It's a bill that simply says that if you're an illegal immigrant and you get in a wreck and it's not your fault, but you're here illegally, up to a certain point, even if you have insurance, you can't recover at all up to a very significant amount for your damages because you're in the country illegally. So no insurance company should have to pay you anything because you broke the law to be here. And so you shouldn't be rewarded for that in any way. I like the bill. I think it's a good bill. But what percentage of illegal immigrants do we have in the grand scheme? I'm not saying we don't have a good number. Okay. But how many is that going to move the needle and reduce the insurance rates of the vast bulk of Louisiana citizens? Of course it's not.
Feel good
So don't
legislation.
suggest that. So don't even suggest that that's going to have a difference because it's not. And the advertising, they have a big bill that they've been touting about lawyer advertising. And one of the provisions in the bill says that if the guy who is on TV talking about how much money the lawyer got for him, if he's not a real client, if he's just an actor, then in the bottom of the screen, whatever it is, you have to say that he's just an actor. He's not a real client. Okay, what exactly is that going to do to reduce our insurance rate?
Wait. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-DON'T-GAMBLE.
Well, exactly.
It's the same thing.
During a commercial where they're begging you to go to Hollywood Casino.
It's feel-good legislation that somebody can check the box that they did something that really does nothing. And you're right. Move the needle is the key phrase. Ain't moving the needle at all. So, all right, wait a minute. Clue me up or educate me on this bill because I haven't been paying attention for a couple of weeks. I've bin fishing mode. So this bill, is so an illegal alien or illegal immigrant cannot receive money from an insurance company if he was in a wreck when he shouldn't have a driver's license anyway. And I'll assume he wasn't insured because how the hell could he get insurance on a vehicle that he shouldn't technically be able to register in the state of Louisiana because he's illegal anyway? Make this make sense.
Rex, the bill says even if he does have insurance, it's not. This is not no pay no play. This is not a situation where you have an American citizen who's in a wreck, but if they don't have insurance, they don't get to recover up to 15 or 30. This is an illegal immigrant, even if the illegal immigrant has insurance. This law
How did
says
he get insurance? So look,
I don't know, but
folks,
there are illegals. There are illegals driving on our streets, Rex. Let me break it to you. I'm glad you're sitting down. Who have liability coverage and they're here illegally.
oh, I know. There's a bunch of, look, no offense to roofers, but a lot of roofers are of Hispanic origin. I get it. I'm just saying, I don't know how to game the system like that, where I could be illegally here and get insurance and a driver's license and all this other crap. How does this work?
You guys,
That's a great question. I
you,
wish. Yeah, go ahead, Duke.
I'm saying that tongue in cheek,
you,
Mr. Lowry.
you guys are worried about these little old four-wheelers rolling up and down the road and that they have insurance, and you ain't even realizing that the majority of these oil field trucks rolling up and down the road with these Texas plates or Oklahoma or whatever, they can't even speak a lick of English. They can't at all. I mean, how many have y'all been to Cancun? Or you been to Cozumel? Do you see how they drive down there? Well, take those people, put them in an
All
18
right.
wheeler, and put them on our streets. And you know why? Because they live in the truck. They don't have a home here to go back to. They live in the truck.
Do they own
drive
the
every
truck?
No, you've got
So they're
these
working
stupid.
for a company.
Yeah, they're working for a company.
Who
And look,
hired
I
them?
can tell you, there's a sand hauler company up here in Northwest Louisiana. It's a cartel company. It's a cartel company.
I
And
almost spit my tea out.
all of their drivers don't speak a lick of English. Li- I swear on the Bible, this is a true story. I was working on an oil well, and I'm going to say it was in Northwest Louisiana. And all of these trucks were all non-English speaking people. And when I tell you there were drugs, needles, the whole 9 yards, and I called someone with DOT and reported it. And they were like, there ain't nothing we can do. This was a while back. It was some time back. It's like, yeah, we know, but there's nothing we can do. I mean, it it is a ridiculous question for us to even think that we're going to get legislation that's going to fix insurance in Baton Rouge when we can't even get a stupid non-speaking English person doing drugs in an 18-wheeler running up and down the road for the
Well, but
cheapest rate.
all right. So, honest question to our viewers, Chris. You may know, Duke, as a truck driver, you may know. Has anything changed under the Trump administration? Are they trying to kick them all back over the wall?
It's a good start.
I think from what I can understand, I think they are. In fact, at least there's some suggestion that some of the conflagration that we're seeing in Los Angeles, which is just completely out of control, apparently, is the result of some ICE raids in Los Angeles, where they've gone in there and trying to sweep these people out of the country. I may be wrong about that. We've been so knee deep in this legislature down here, but apparently the governor of California, at least, is suggesting that it's these raids, these ICE raids, that have caused all these riots in California. I don't know, but I can tell you that I do believe that the Trump administration is serious about removing these illegals from the country. Everything I've seen seems to
Oh,
suggest that Trump is
I
serious about this.
I think so too. And let me be clear. And look, this is where I may differ with a lot of my Republican ultra conservative friends, but I'm all for immigrants in this country. We have plenty of landmass here. Just come here legally. I don't care what we did at the beginning and the founding of our country. We've used Ellis Island as the beacon of hope and for immigration for a long time. So y'all are all welcome here. Just stand in line and do it legally like everybody else. And I'm fine with y'all coming in. But if you're not here illegally, back over the wall for you.
Yep. And I agree 100%, which reminds me, Rex, and I think you'll be interested in this. Representative Chance Henry has a bill that just passed both houses, hopefully will be signed by the governor, that will require all law enforcement agencies, all DAs, any public official to report if they any illegal immigrant who applies for public benefits or any illegal immigrant that's currently receiving public taxpayer benefits in Louisiana, they have to terminate the benefits. They have to, of course, deny someone who is newly applying, and they have to report that individual to ICE. And it is, I think, a very, very good piece of legislation that hopefully Governor Landry will sign. I can't imagine why he wouldn't sign this legislation, but I think it's important. It's an important bill.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's the whole, we need Elon Jr. and Doge for Louisiana. That may ferret out some of that if they're receiving illegal benefits and state services. Maybe
Well,
we can
don't
get rid of
Rex,
some.
don't get me started on Louisiana Doge, or I'm going to go on a rant. Okay, because it is absolutely not happening here. We had the treasurer, John Fleming, who, as y'all know, is running for Senate now, on our show, on our podcast a month or so ago. He's the treasurer, the guy who accounts for the money and writes the checks. And do you know who has not been included at all in this so-called Louisiana Doge? The treasurer. He has no
Wow.
involvement in it. Nobody's reached out to him. He's not been invited to one damn meeting. He has no idea what's going on. So Louisiana Doge is essentially, I hate to say it, a complete and total joke. Nothing
It's
is happening on Louisiana Doge.
a feel-good campaign slogan.
Is that maybe because we have somebody else that we want to be the senator? Maybe, you think?
Duke, oh man.
Or
Wow.
maybe we
Wow.
want the same senator to still be in there and to continue on.
Duke,
Who knows?
Duke, I do believe that Governor Landry, in all likelihood, wants Cassidy, but I never thought about what you just said. That maybe part of the reason why the treasurer is being shut out of this process, if there is a process, is that they don't want to lend any kind of political credibility to the treasurer. That's a great point, and I didn't even think about that. But guys, listen to this real quick. You got to listen to this. HB 592 down here is a bill, an otherwise innocuous election bill. Okay, goes through the House committee, passes the House, then goes to the Senate Governmental Affairs. In that committee, the chairman of that committee offers an amendment, Caleb Kleinpeter, that would basically eviscerate the closed primary system that we have in Louisiana. Right now in Louisiana, as you guys know, because of a bill that was passed a couple of years ago, we have a closed primary system now in Louisiana for federal elections. So that means that, let's just take Bill Cassidy. He's in a Republican primary. He's got 5 or 6 other Republicans in there. And by the way, Governor Landry, for some reason, is trying to get a bunch of other Republicans in the Republican primary. Who does that help? Anyway, so let's say Cassidy wins that, or is in the top 2 of that first Republican primary. Right now, under current law, he goes into a second runoff with the other guy who was the top finisher, the top 2. And that's a statewide race. And the winner of that goes into the general election with the Democrat. There was a bill offered in committee this session that would have eliminated the second Republican primary in federal elections, which basically means that Cassidy, and that means that whoever wins gets a plurality of votes. Whoever gets 22, 25, 26%, whatever it takes to beat 6 or 7 other Republicans in the first primary goes straight into the runoff with the Democrat. Who do you think that would have helped in this Bill, in this political climate right now. Bill Cassidy, because he would have gotten 25% of the vote, gone straight and wrong. So the bottom line is that was offered. We believe that was initiated by Cameron Henry, the president of the Senate, because he and Cassidy are friends, and he went to a fundraiser for him several weeks ago. But because of pushback, that amendment was withdrawn in committee, but there was every reason to believe that it was going to be offered on the Senate floor. So there was a whole bunch of us that pushed hard against that to keep that amendment from being added on the Senate floor. Fortunately, we were able to kill it. So right now we will have a closed primary system for the U.S. Senate. But the bottom line is just to show you how sinister these people can be. That was a direct play to reelect Bill Cassidy by avoiding a statewide head-to-head with a Republican to get into a runoff with the Democrat and allow Cassidy. Because even Bill Cassidy could finish in the top two in a crowded Republican field and get 25% of the vote, don't you think?
Yeah, and you pretty much almost 100% on the mark there, but I'll say you were 98% because you forgot the bill that flew through on merging the independent and no party together to increase that share. Remember
Great
that one?
point, Duke. Great point, Duke. But
and-
the bill, but the bill you're talking about there, that is the closed primary bill that we have now in Louisiana from last year, or maybe 2 years ago.
No. There was a bill this year. There's a bill that came through, and I can't think of her name. Red hair state representative. I like her. I'm getting old. I can't remember her name. She brought the bill this session to where the independents and the no parties would be put together and will all be able to vote in the primary, in the Republican primary.
Duke, they're already allowed. There are independents and
only one of the two can, not both of them. But when you combine them together, that brings the total number up to about 900,000 votes versus where the Republican and the Democrats are at right at 1,200,000, 1,300,000 or 4.
So what you're saying, Duke, is okay. So maybe I'm misunderstanding. Is independent? Is that a party? Is that a political party? Okay, all right. So what you're saying is the legislation this year because no party voters are already allowed to vote in Republican and Democrat primaries.
Correct.
They can do that already. You're saying this would have added the formerly independent voters to that mix.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Raising that number because at the last Republican State Central Committee, there was a kind of towards the end, there was a little bit of a hubbub about the fact that this bill had went through. Nobody knew anything about it, and that it was going to potentially, because nobody knew the number, Beth Billings. It was Beth Billings' bill. And Beth's usually pretty good. And I don't know, but it was going to bring the number possibly that you would have more folks non-affiliated, more registered voters non-affiliated than you actually had Republicans voting in a Republican primary. Well, I actually went and checked the math, and that's not exactly correct, but the number is not an insignificant number. The number is a big enough number that it could sway the election, period.
Yeah, that's a great point. And to be honest with you, I'm not too proud to say that was not a bill that we're tracking. I'm hoping that it's either dead or dying. I hope so. I don't know I'm going to check and see what the status of that is. But I do want y'all to know this, Duke, that the original bill from a couple of years ago by Julie Emerson, the closed primary bill, when that bill came out of the House, it was in pure form. Only Republicans can vote in Republican primaries and only Democrats can vote in Democrat primaries. It was because of Senator Kennedy and Governor Landry that bill was amended on the Senate side to allow unaffiliated voters to vote in Republican primaries and Democrat primaries. That was their impetus. That's why that occurred. That's why we don't have a pure closed primary system in Louisiana right now, because of Governor Landry and Senator Kennedy. And that's just a fact.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I did not know that.
All right. Well, have we fixed Baton Rouge yet tonight?
Well, we're working on it. We're not done yet down here, Rex. We got some stuff we're still working on, but I just want y'all to know that we've killed some bad stuff. We're getting some good stuff across the finish line, and unfortunately, there's been a few bad things that have gotten across the finish line as well. So, but we gotta keep fighting and keep pushing.
Well, look, we're glad that you guys are keeping a close eye on it too, and I want to encourage everybody to go check out y'all's podcast. Are y'all on YouTube, Facebook? Where all is your
Uh,
podcast?
we're everywhere now, Rex. And Duke, it means a lot to me. By the way, that you said earlier that that you listen in, because someone of you guys, really your stature, your patriotism,
Our
your
infamy.
activism. It means well, infamy. Believe me, the only reason why I'm on this podcast is because you're infamous. I don't go on shows that have particularly reputable people on them in the eyes of this world, or I wouldn't be here. But anyway, I do appreciate that, Duke, and thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and y'all are you have your finger on the pulse of the legislation, and I would encourage anybody that watches our show. I mean, we have a lot of folks that watch our show afterwards and don't necessarily watch it live, but I would encourage y'all to listen to your podcast, especially if you want to be informed on the legislation that's taking place, because you guys really get in depth and down in the nitty gritty and have your finger on the pulse at the Capitol. And, I appreciate it and thank y'all for the work that you do, because it's good. I mean, you are a resource, of information. And I think that's what we all are trying to accomplish, is just getting the information out there as best we can. And, we may not be the media that Nancy Landry prefers, but we, we are a media that is not going away.
No, not by any stretch of the
Wait a minute, Duke.
imagination.
Wait a minute, Duke. You just absolutely shattered my illusions about you. Are you telling me that you are not affiliated with one of the quote bona fide reputable news organizations in the country that has allowed unrestricted access to polling precincts to conduct exit polls? I can't believe that you're not affiliated. So you're just not a reputable news establishment, Duke. I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to go have to report you to the Louisiana Secretary of State. And matter of fact, I have to go right now. Go do that.
Yeah, you probably should do that. I mean, I don't look bona fide. I mean, that is a way overused term. Me and Mike Eccles could go back and forth on bona fide, like in agricultural practice. Yes, Mike, I'm calling you out, you Ducks Unlimited lackey. But anyway, side note, yeah, no, we're not bona fide. I mean, and I'm proud to wear that badge. Because you're not going to get what y'all do and what you talk about and what we talk about. Folks are not going to get that in the bona fide media. You're not going to get the nitty gritty and the real story behind it. And if you want the real story, you need to go to LeCag. You need to watch their podcast and Bossier Politics. If you want to know the inside on Bossier Politics, you need to come to Bossier Watch, and you'll get it here.
You better believe it. Absolutely. I love y'all's show. And I'll tell y'all that I've had a theory for a long time now that if voters knew really the truth about what their Republican legislators are doing, as opposed to what they tell them they're doing and what they run on when they're running for office, very few of them could actually be reelected. And I believe that that is 100% true. And so that's why I think that what we're doing, because I don't know there's any other organization in the state that, and I don't say this to brag, I wish there were more, but I don't know there are any other organizations in the state that actually meticulously follow the committee votes, follow the votes on the floor, and then name this exactly what the bills are and name the specific Republicans and how they voted on this legislation in real time. And so the broader we get, the more information we're able to provide voters in different constituencies across the state, the more informed they're going to be. And I guarantee you, a lot of these Republicans don't like what we're doing because they understand that they don't want their voters to know what the hell they're doing. honestly.
It's amazing what happens when you shine just a little bit of light on something.
Which is what you got. Which is what you guys
Or,
do
or a
so
microphone.
well. Or a microphone.
Yeah.
Or a microphone. So you know what? I'm so glad right now, guys, that we're not actually located at a polling precinct, or we would have the Secretary of State's deputies down there, censoring our speech. So I'm really happy that we're not doing this podcast at that location.
Yeah, we need to
Well,
have some of those We the People ladies on. Get Brenda, who all's still on that thing? Brenda, Brock, some of those ladies on the show.
yeah, well, I will tell you that the Republican Party of Bossier did file a public information request with the Secretary of State's office for a cast vote record for a local council election in Bossier. And they acknowledged it, and we intend to proceed all the way with it. And I think that if I'm looking at the calendar correctly, they're already past the deadline. But I think we're gonna follow that to conclusion. I'm not so sure that everybody follows those things to conclusion, but our Bossier Parish PEC has the fortitude to follow it to conclusion.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope that you do. I hope you do follow it to conclusion because it's important. Accountability is a really, really important thing. And before I go, I just want to tell you all that we have some really fine legislators down here. Some fine Republican legislators. And look, I don't live up there where y'all do anymore, so I don't know what the local pulse is on these guys. But I got to tell you, I think very highly of Raymond Cruz. I think highly, in most respects, of Dodie Horton. I think Alan Seabaugh has done some really good things down here. He voted against this SB 80. He was one of 5 or 6 Republicans to vote against this atrocious exit poll bill. So y'all are lucky to have some pretty good legislators down here from up in your neck of the woods. And we just need more. Danny McCormick. Danny McCormick was a stalwart standing against this carbon capture sequestration racket. Have such great respect for him and what he's tried to do. Rodney Schamerhorn is done a good job. I think Jack McFarland, for the most part, chairman of appropriations, is a good man trying to do the right thing. But we still have too many rhinos in our legislature who are just bought and paid for, and there's no other way to say it.
Well, we will keep doing this every Tuesday night. Y'all keep it up on your podcast. And again, everybody go check out the LeCag podcast. We'll link to it after the show and share
Yeah,
it.
it's by the way, the podcast is the State of Freedom is the name of our podcast, and the website is freedomstate.us, freedomstate.us, and we'll be doing a comprehensive legislative wrap up. And we do 2 other things. We're going to be doing a podcast coming up very soon where we're going to be talking about the number of bills this session that specifically would have increased the governor's power. I have to tell you one more thing before I go, guys. This is important, okay? SB 89 by a Democrat senator down here that right now the governor appoints the commission members of the powerful Port of New Orleans. Very, very powerful board down here. But there's no accountability and no oversight and a lot of corruption. Well, Senator Joseph Bowie brought a bill that said, okay, Governor, you can continue to appoint these commission members to this board, to this Port of New Orleans, but we're going to require Senate approval and confirmation. That bill got through the Senate 39-0. I can tell you right now that it's extraordinarily rare for a bill to get through the House bipartisan like that with no votes. Then it goes over the House 99-0. It passes. So there was universal support for this legislation. Gets to the governor's desk, and guess what happened yesterday?
Oh,
he vetoed it. He vetoed
Wow.
it yesterday. So the point is, just as a matter of pure political calculus in this climate, with the skepticism that exists against this governor, he should have said, you know what? I think it's important. I want to work with the Senate. I think legislative oversight is important, and I look forward to working with them to get some good appointments to this board. No, he didn't. He just vetoed it. So anyway, yeah.
It's never ending.
Well,
Yep.
Chris,
But you
thank
guys are
you
doing a
again
great
as
job.
usual.
I love
And,
you guys.
let's do
Y'all
it
take
again
care.
soon.
Thank y'all for having me.
All right.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Chris. Talk to you later.
Take care.
Well, that was an interesting discussion as usual. Mr. Chris Alexander is a good guest to have on the show.
Yeah, Chris, I was listening to them this morning, and man, they were hitting on all cylinders on all these bills. I mean, and there were some bills they were rattling off that I had not even heard of, and I was just like, wow, it just popped up in my head. I was like, man, we need to get Chris on. We need to chat with him a little bit.
All right, so let me go back for just a moment. I'm really not going to cover any more of that meeting because we're now at 8:39. But I will share the Bossier School Board special session YouTube link out. I would encourage everybody, I'll do that after the show on the Bossier Watch page. I would encourage everybody to listen to that. It's about an hour long, very interesting stats on the population growth and changes and some other information in there that I think is relevant to a lot of the people that are watching the show and will be. But I got to say, Chris mentioned one point in there, and that is candidates who run on one thing and say they're for one thing and yet do another. And you know who that reminds me of, Mr. Lowry?
Oh, please do tell.
That would be Mr. Tommy Chandler, which would be the number one topic of the show. Who's telling the truth? Did you hear the Keel interview that he did the other day with Aaron?
I did hear it, and I got to tell you, I am still scratching my head.
Well, all right. So, folks, if you haven't heard it, let me click a couple of buttons here. So, I want to first play and remind everybody of what Charles Jacobs said back in March at the city council meeting where Brian Hammonds dropped the bomb in there about the parking lot situation. No, this parking lot situation is still not gone away yet. So this is Channel 3 or Channel 21's news article from that. So let me play this. It's about a minute long, and then I'm going to jump into the Keel segment. Here we go.
City Attorney Charles Jacobs said he and Assistant City Attorney Richard Ray inspected the businesses after claims of damage to the driveways from construction of the Walter O. Bigby carriageway.
Lawsuits were threatened. We discussed it. Richard and myself talked to the mayor about it, and in order to basically avoid litigation, we agreed after the signing of certain releases that we would go ahead and overlay or repair those parking lots in order to avoid litigation that could have resulted from the pile driving activity out there.
Okay, so you heard that. That's back in March. And we covered this. We've covered it actually in a couple of shows. Pile driving, potential lawsuits. All right, so that's back in March. Now, fast forward.
Clearly, that's what he said. I mean, he just said potential lawsuits right there. I mean, I heard it loud and clear.
And it's his words, and it's the mainstream media covering this. I mean, that's not our coverage. That's the local news channel. Now, fast forward to, and I certainly got to give Aaron credit for this. Fast forward to.
But we showed it. Does that mean that, if there's some violation of law that the AG or the state government can't do anything? Yeah, well, since we showed it, and that's not bona fide. Yeah, so that excludes.
Yeah, it's
any
amateur media.
legal. Yeah, since amateur media covered it, there's no legal ramifications here. Anyway, okay, go. Got
so they're free and clear. All right. So now fast forward to, I think this was June the 5th when Tommy was on Keel. They talked about many things, including the boardwalk and all that. But they also, to Aaron's credit, she slipped in a question about the parking lots. Here we go.
The building private parking lots. What happened with that? Can you get to the bottom of that? when the parking lots were damaged, apparently, and then 2 businesses got their parking lots redone by the city.
Over by the carriageway.
Yeah, over by the
on
carriageway.
Benton Road.
Caused a lot of turmoil.
Yeah.
What happened with that? Was it justified? Should it have been handled differently?
That was what it really was access. That one business did not have access to Benton Road.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Did he say something about pile drivers there? Did you hear pile
No,
drivers?
maybe he's fixing to say it. I don't know. No, I didn't hear
okay.
pile drivers.
Well, let's let him finish because he's got 40 more seconds to mention pile driving.
Because when they blocked him off, and there was a difference in height of his lot and the lot next door, so they had to even it out and make it where they could travel from that one business to the next without any difficulty, and that was access, is what it was.
Communication should have been better with the council members,
It should have been handled a whole lot better.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I sure should.
Mayor Tommy Chandler, I know you didn't expect that question. I apologize. I didn't warn you ahead of time. He just threw something at me, y'all. I'm joking.
I still
No.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Now, I got to say I think that's clearly bona fide media.
Oh yeah, it's the real deal. Because look, I think they got the truth out of Tommy. I think he was.
I think so too. Aaron and Mike, that's bona fide. That's real.
And I think they're correct that the communications could have been a little better down at City Hall, because clearly Tommy and his legal department, being Charles Jacobs and Richard Ray, did not communicate on the lie that they were supposed to be telling, because Tommy just told the truth. Jacobs had a different story sitting there in a public meeting, public city council meeting. It's on the record. So who's telling the truth? I think Tommy was right. It probably was all about access. Probably wasn't anything about pile driving.
Well, I mean, look, who do you believe? Do you believe Charles Jacobs or do you believe Tommy? I think I know where I believe and where I stand.
So let's see. Let me switch screens one more time. Let me get rid of that. Let me remind everybody too that
that would be an amazing poll to run in Bossier. Who do you believe? Jacobs, that they were threatened with a lawsuit, or Tommy, that it was just about access?
Yeah. Well, and let me remind everybody that when Chris Smith and Brian Hammonds tried to rein in the Office of Risk Management, Tommy denied or tried to deny that. And of course, it didn't go anywhere with the city council about reining in their unlimited arbitrary spending.
How about that? No oversight.
No oversight. Just spend what you want. Somebody needs some access with their parking lot, unless it's those businesses across the street. Don't worry about them. And if it's John Settle, don't worry about that guy, because he needs to be run over by a Zamboni anyway.
So just like the legislature and me being disillusioned with what took place in the Louisiana legislature, I'm disillusioned with Bossier City, and I got to tell you, I'm hopeful that this new council coming in is going to bring an air of transparency, and we're not going to have all of this chaoticness. In Bossier City government, we're finally going to see things straighten out. I mean, obviously, it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to count on that leadership coming out of the mayor's office, because we don't know whether he's, being disingenuous or whether it's Charles Jacobs. But they can't both be right.
No.
It's one or the other. Which one is right and which one is wrong?
Look, it's a simple poll for everybody. Just let us know in the comments, who do you believe more? Do you believe Charles Jacobs and Richard Ray, or do you believe Tommy? And look, we had a comment from Todd Gray. He says, new here and to Bossier City. What's number one on your agenda for Bossier City? So I'll do my take first, and Mr. Lauer, you do yours. I would say, Todd, that our agenda for Bossier City is pretty much the same that it's been for 260 plus shows and a lot of Tuesday nights sitting here at our desk. It's to expose the shenanigans and the stupid stuff that goes on politically in Bossier City and Bossier Parish, and talk about that so that folks know about it, so that folks know, what's going on behind the scenes, kind of the inside baseball of everything. And we're going to keep doing that. If you want to know, you want to see powder puff stuff or whatever, that's traditional news media, or go to a Chamber of Commerce meeting.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm glad that somebody that's new to Bossier City area is watching the show. Thank you and welcome to watching. And, like Rex just said, you're not going to get the content that we put out on, the bona fide media. The closest thing you'll get is to Aaron and Mike on their show. But even we're a lot more edgier than them. Um, I think the thing and the ultimate goal we want is transparency in government. I mean, that's why, we were heavily involved in the term limits coalition to affect term limits in Bossier City, because for too long, and it's not just in Bossier City, but in Bossier proper, I mean, there has always been an undercurrent as how government is run, and you're either in or you're out, and government picks the winners and the losers. And that time, that day has come and gone. And I think I can speak on behalf of me and Rex that we're trying to usher in a change to where the playing field is level for everybody. And we're doing that by informing every one of y'all that watch this show on the things that take place. And the more you know about what happens in government, the more informed you're going to be. So,
Yeah, we've said it over and over. We are absolutely amateur. I would classify us as more pundits than anything else. We are certainly not the news. Kind of like in the old days when HBO had not necessarily the news back when we were kids. Well, we're definitely not the news. We are biased. We are going to give our opinion. We like to have pushback in the commentary, but we'll push back from the show as well. Um, and we'll talk about a lot of different things on here, but there has to be a political tie-in for it to really catch our attention. So, if you're new to the show, that's pretty much it.
hey, so as we're wrapping up, I want to kind of tell y'all that next show we've got a guest already lined up. There was a bill that was passed and signed by the governor regarding a situation with a government person, and I don't want to get too far down the road because I want our guest to tell the story, but it's a pretty damn amazing story. Um, and I see. I don't really know what I can say, but it's a story you're going to want to hear, and it's a story that you're probably going to be shocked when you learn, and it's pertaining to somebody within government and something that they were able to do, and it ultimately resulted in a law having to be made. And in this case, I would contend that the good guys won. But it's not my place to tell the story, but it's something you're definitely going to want to hear. Additionally, got another guest. So Representative Mike Eccles, remember from over the Monroe area. I had been talking with Eccles, and he's agreed to come on the show, and he's going to kind of give us a legislative wrap up, a recap, you might say, from the perspective of a legislator down there. And anyway, I mentioned him earlier in the show. It's kind of taking a little shot at him about the bona fide thing. So he apparently was watching, or somebody messaged him, so they were taking a shot at you. So he's like, "Hey, I want to come on and give a wrap up." So I have him in the hopper as well.
Ah, well, that should be an excellent show. Mike Eccles is always fun to have a chat with, and I am very intrigued about this other guest and this law that was enacted. That should be very informative.
Yeah, it really is, and we're not going to be able to. I don't think we're going to be able to kind of put any names out there. I don't know completely yet, but this is going to be one that you're going to want to watch and a story you're going to want to hear. It hadn't been in the media nowhere about this whole deal and this whole incident.
Excellent. All right. Well, we will look forward to that next Tuesday night. And on the creative front, we hadn't done any hats in a while, and I'm about to wear my hat out. You probably do one too, even though you've got the cool Oak Island hat now.
That's right.
I have watched that show a few times, but I'm kind of jealous of that. But anyway, we've got some clothing and other apparel that we're working on. We have a request for folks. We need some catchy phrases to be able to wear or put on T-shirts for everybody to wear to city council meetings, along with the.
Wait, I got it. I got it.
Uh-oh.
I got it. I know.
What?
I know.
What's up? Okay.
We need to get a T-shirt with a big old mushroom on it, with a circle and a slash through it.
A circle and a slash, like a la Ghostbusters style, right?
Yeah. The circle and the slash, like the ghost over the ghost, except replace the ghost with a mushroom.
All right.
Yeah.
Now here's the homework assignment for everybody before next week. You heard what Duke said. Mushroom with a circle and a slash through it, like the Ghostbusters logo. What does that mean? What does that mean? That's the homework assignment. No saying it in the comments until next week. All right.
Yep.
How about that, Mr. Lauer?
I like that. We're giving people homework. I like
Giving them homework. That's right. If we have to do homework, y'all have to do just a little bit. All right. And I would again encourage everybody. I will put a link to the school board meeting YouTube video in the comments and all that here in a little bit, and also to the State of Freedom podcast. Go check those out. I've pretty much run out of things to say for this week.
I appreciate spending time with all of y'all, including you, birthday boy from yesterday. Happy birthday and good night.
I have my Airwolf DVD set. I am a happy camper. Happy. See y'all later.
Bye-bye.